Picture this. A crow perches atop a jagged spire of the glass library. Its black feathers are shimmering with this dull, almost oily light. As the permanent night deepens all around, it turns a totally detached, unblinking eye toward the wreckage of the conversation below. Imagine its voice as this dry rustle, like parchment caught in a graveyard wind. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're diving into a truly haunting cautionary folktale, the agonizing evolution of dark Camelot. And in this story, the crow is watching you, the traveler, make your descent.
It speaks directly to you, saying, "You have gathered much cynical knowledge in this place, traveler." See, the crow has been watching you sift through the despairing shards of dark Camelot. It's actually, quite literally, feeding on the mounting despair of your inquiries. You aren't just sitting back observing this dark folktale, you are the subject of it.
And the crow maps out the exact chronological descent of your failed psychological inquiries. Step 1, the Iron Bridge. Step 2, the Silent Halls. And Step 3, the Uncanny Wood.
Let's start with the trap of the Iron Bridge, the Pale Inquisitor's offer.
So, the crow remembers seeing you pause at the Iron Bridge. This is where you run into your very first adversary, the Pale Inquisitor, and he targets your sheer exhaustion. He offers you the safety of stasis, basically a chance to just stop moving, right? To stop struggling. But the cost is massive. He demands silver guilt. This is a heavy spiritual burden that you trade for that illusion of safety. The price for this so-called peace is a crushing, paralyzing guilt that binds you permanently to that bridge.
But you know what? You looked right into his secret shame without even blinking. You saw the absolute truth here. The throne stands famously vacant. The power he's holding over you is just an illusion, masking a completely hollow center. You saw right through it, and because of that, you survived the bridge.
Moving deeper, we enter the Ledger of Nothingness, within the Silent Halls.
Because you didn't stop at the bridge, right? The crow follows your shadow as you step into the Silent Halls. Now this is a domain ruled by a figure known as the Last Thinker. If the Inquisitor wanted to trap you in stasis, the Last Thinker, he wants to completely erase you. He actually views your life as a contagion. He sees your very heartbeat, your vitality, your human essence as nothing more than noise. To him, it's a disease that desperately needs to be silenced. Your existence itself is an error in his perfectly silent world.
The Last Thinker is completely obsessed with this idea of a curation of extinction. He literally wants to index your heartbeat, file away the noise of your existence, and bottle up life's contagion. He's trying to take your messy, living, breathing reality and just reduce it down to a ledger of nothingness. But once again, you refuse to be filed away. You just keep moving. Which brings us to Prey in the Uncanny Wood, the Tarantula Preacher.
Having survived both stasis and absolute erasure, you wander into the Uncanny Wood. And here, you come face to face with the Tarantula Preacher. Unlike the others, the Preacher doesn't offer peace, and he certainly doesn't offer silence. He offers aggression. It's a toxic offering known as Future's Venom. This is an intoxicating promise of revenge and atavism. He's tempting you to just give in to your darkest, most regressive and savage instincts, basically trying to poison your intellect entirely.
The preacher generously invites you to sit at his round table, but you see it for what it truly is. It's a circle for prey to gather. There's no honor or equality here. It's really just a spider's web, beautifully disguised to trap the wandering traveler.
And that leads into the climax, Judgment of the Violent Night, the gathering of negative psychic energy. Here's the terrifying part. Every single question you have asked, every failed philosophy you've analyzed across the Iron Bridge, the Silent Halls, and the Uncanny Wood, it's all saturated the earth. As you seek the binding force of nature, you're actually thinning the boundary between your thought and reality. The crow is no longer just this wandering spirit sitting back and observing you. Because of the sheer density of your despair, the massive amount of negative psychic energy you've generated, you are manifesting the crow into physical flesh. You are literally making the nightmare real.
The air is growing so incredibly heavy now. The ultimate trial is upon you. Your internal world is failing. Your internal factions of memory, reason, and will are fracturing apart. And meanwhile, the external threat is approaching fast. The Violet Knight steps forward, wielding the violet gavel, and the size of that weapon is actually expanding to match the immense spiritual weight you've accumulated. It's wild. Your internal mind is crumbling at the exact moment the external threat reaches its maximum crushing size.
bringing us to an agonizing evolution, the final verdict.
The trial of your internal factions is finally nearing its end, and the verdict handed down by the Violet Knight? Well, it's not a sentence made of words. It's a physical, forced, and brutal transformation. When that violet gavel finally strikes, two brutal fates await. Will you perform the grave dance and burn as a living pillar of swamp fire? Or will the strike violently crush your gods together, leaving only a man-beast to crawl from the ruins? These are the visceral, horrifying options of your agonizing evolution.
And throughout all of this chaos, the crow remains in the exact same spot, unblinking, just watching. It waits for the exact moment when thinking finally fails to protect your mind. All your cynical knowledge, all your hard-earned logic has completely collapsed under the crushing weight of this dark folktale.
Which leaves us with this haunting question to end on. What savage, new purpose emerges? Think about it. When your intellect is completely shattered, and you've evolved into a man-beast, or this pillar of fire, what will you do in the permanent night? It's a terrifying, provocative thought, and it really shows just how dangerous cynical knowledge can be. Thanks for joining me for this dark journey into our source material. Keep questioning, keep learning, but please, always protect your mind.